Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the NS9 post-game show. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. Somewhere around there is our boy, Ryan. I don't know where he's at, though. It's just a chair and his lovely family behind him. So welcome, Alexanders, to the show.
I'm here. Hey, it's spring training for all of us.
I'm like, you were there when I hit go.
My kids, man, I watched the last 3 innings in my office, and then, they left me alone. And then as soon as we go to record, it's like, let's bother daddy. So, yep, I'm here.
Hey, bring him on the show. It can't get any worse.
Right.
Anyhow, so the Pittsburgh Pirates played a game tonight. This is our 4th and final spring training edition of the NS9 postgame show, powered by Permane Brothers. But there won't be any sandwiches. You know why that is, Ryan? Because the Pirates lost 2-1.
So we've done 4 of these, and we've given away, what, 1 sandwich because of a tie?
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, DiNardo.
What's the reason?
Guess who picked these dates that we were going to go live and have post games for spring training?
I didn't pick them. I know Tyler didn't pick them. You didn't pick them?
I definitely didn't.
Neil didn't pick them. Doug didn't pick them. Who's left?
That leaves Jim Rosati. And if you know anything, it's the Rosati curse.
The Rosati curse.
The dude's excited about Horwitz and Jared Jones, and then he picks the spring training games, and we go 0-3-1. Good job. Good job, Jim.
Good job, Jim. The Pirates with a winning record on spring, except when we go live.
Right. It's a good sign for the season.
Very much so. Very, very much so. But I'll tell you what, Ryan, before we go any further, it's March Madness. Let me tell you all about BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to a $200,000 bracket contest. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. No financial advice, but when we go live during spring, bet the opposing team.
There you go. I was hoping for another tie, a 0-0 tie, but it was looking good until the 8th.
0-2-2 would have been looking real good on a record, but yeah. Anyways, but no, let's talk about this game. Now, here's what sucks about this game. It's spring training for everybody, which means it's spring training stadiums. And if you're aware of Boston and their spring training stadium, there's no StatCast. And mind you, like, this goes beyond StatCast. There's not even, like, we don't see pitch counts. We don't see how many strikes, how many balls were thrown. Like, there is just, like, when they say there's limited data, they might as well just say there is zero data. There's zero stats. Just have fun. Watch the game.
Which is weird because that stadium's newer. It's really nice, DiNardo.
And it's really nice.
We've been there, and, they have the little green monster in left. Like, and it's a newer stadium. Like, why can't we get the StatCast going?
Right. And like Penn says, is what sucks about this game is that we can't even score runs in practice. We talking about practice. Yeah, there was no offense today either.
Nope.
But again, so I get that out the way to tell you that this post game is going to be a little bit different. There's not a whole lot to like really dive into and break down in the way that we like to and I like to. But I don't think we didn't really need that. Also, I'll say that. I mean, Mitch Keller started today. He does go just 3 innings, but Mitch Keller looked about as good as you ever want to see Mitch Keller looked. My one takeaway early on in the game was like, man, Garrett Crochet looks really good, Ryan. I mean, I know it's the Pirates offense and it's kind of non-existent, but Crochet looked filthy. He looks good. And then it's like, the more I watch this, I'm like, well, Mitch Keller's kind of matching him like inning for inning. He might not look as filthy as Garrett Crochet, but man, Mitch Keller was pitching very well. And so he goes 3 innings. He had, I believe, 6 strikeouts.
5 strikeouts.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he had 5.
Yeah, 1.
But he should have had 6 as well. That one strike that was not a strike that ended up being a dribbler to first base to get it out. That was a strikeout. He could have easily had 6 today. Mitch Keller looked good.
He did. He looked good. No walks. 1 hit. I'm surprised that Bucko Mike's in here in the comments, and I was going to bring this up. I'm surprised he only went 3. I think he was at 40 pitches. I mean, this is his last start before. This is the last time we're going to see him before the season starts. So I'm not really sure if there was what was behind that. Crochet went 98 pitches. Like you kind of want to see Keller get ramped up a little bit more. And he was cruising. So I don't really see the reason to bring him out. I don't know if they just wanted to get different guys in there. But yeah.
No, it's funny. I was on with Jim watching the game on PlayStation, and that's exactly what I brought up. I was like, it's kind of interesting that he only went 3 innings. Jim's thought process is, you know what? He stretched out. He got his 3 in, let him come out of the game, get ready for the real season. And that could be it. I think Alex, I'm not sure all the beat writers reported it, but he had like a simulated game last week. He threw 90 pitches then. So like the fact that he threw 90 a week ago, maybe this was just, okay, you know what? You're good. You're stretched out. Let's just get you into the season healthy on that note. But at either rate, like he did only go 3 and they were really, really, really good. Now, did he throw the cutter? I'm not completely sure.
That was the first thing I pulled up and I was like, where's the StatCast here? And then you're like,
right.
They didn't have it. I was like, oh, great.
Right. But no, he looked good. He was filled the zone. I mean, he was just, these guys weren't touching him. They just,
he looked good. And like you said, I'm at the point now with spring training. It's just like, I'm over spring training. Like, we're seeing Keller look good. We obviously want to see that translate to the season and stay more consistent this year. Brian Hayes is hitting 260, 270. Like, I just want to let's get into the season. Like, I don't care about spring anymore. So like I said, Jim saying he's already stretched out. That's fine. I don't see I don't know. I don't know why he would only go 40 today. I would have just kept him out there for another inning or so, but yeah, he was looking good. And, I'm over spring, DiNardo. Let's get into the season.
I'm really over spring too. I'm ready. It is less than a week. Next Thursday. So
I feel like you guys went to spring like a month ago.
we're talking about. I think last night or the night before. I was like, it feels like it's been like 3 months since Bradenton, but it's been like 3
a month
weeks.
ago, really.
But
it was basically.
I mean, again, like the offseason came, and we're at a point like, oh man, I can't wait for pitchers and catchers. Then pitchers and catchers came. It's like I can't wait for spring training games to start. Then the game starts. Like, man, I can't wait for the season to start. Yeah, I'm there. I'm already there. But let's go ahead and talk about this game. Like I said, Mitch Keller looked really, really good. Garrett Crochet looked good. It's good on the offense side. I mean, the first inning came up, and I mean, the first 2 innings, really. I mean, it was just like they had no answers. Crochet was just shutting this team down. I think he had 4 strikeouts in like the first 5 batters.
The first inning, actually, Bart doubled and Pham got on. So they actually had base runners on in the first couple innings, but then he got settled in, finished with 9 strikeouts and 5 in the 3rd inning. And, it was a weird game. So we had the Red Sox announcers, which that was great. The first 3 innings, we had to hear about what they thought, Crochet extension would look like. So that was fantastic to listen to. But yeah, he got settled in, but yeah, Bart continued a really good spring that he's had. He doubled in the first inning, and Pham, I think, had 2 hits and a walk against in this game. So
they were getting well. He went 2 for 2 with the walk
guys
today.
on, but that was pretty much, it was early on. And then once Garrett settled in, it was like he said, he was on, and that was pretty much it. But yeah, Bart, I think he's hitting like 400 in spring. So, again, I'm ready to just see that translate right to the season. Let Bart just keep rolling what he's been doing. And Pham, I mean, say what you will about the signing and the pickup and everything. Pham was on base 3 times tonight and has been, I mean, we're kind of seeing that's pretty much what he's been this spring has been, I don't know when you want to say the cliche professional hitter, veteran hitter or whatever. Like he's
But
he's been solid. Like yeah,
he's been getting on base. A small sample. I mean, I know the numbers before he entered today wasn't anything outstanding, but I mean, he's batting 175, 653 OPS. But it is spring. He's looked pretty comfortable. He's making some solid contact. And again, like talk about approach, and that's what Fam has mentioned as well. Like when it comes to spring, all he's worried about is he wants to see as many pitches as possible. He's going to go deep into counts, just and that's what a lot of these guys do, right? I mean, this is your time to see pitches. You're finally seeing live pitching after how many months, right? So you want to get used to that. You want to adjust to it, and probably the closer you get to the regular season, you start getting in the batter's box, having the mental approach that you would have during the regular season. But again, most guys, especially veterans, like Kutch, same thing. You just want to see as many pitches as you can in those limited at bats that you're getting. But again, tonight, like he did, he looked good. He looked good.
Yep. But
Bart,
besides
like you
Bart,
mentioned, also looked good.
yeah, he had 2 hits. Besides Bart and Fam, Gonzalez 0 for 3, Triolo 0 for 3, IKF 0 for 3, Henry Davis 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Jack Swinsky had a hit. But yeah, like you said, not much else going against Crochet today. Which,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to kill this lineup for that. I mean, it's one of the better pitchers in the American League. So,
yep. And like you said, and go back to the first. I mean, it opened up, like you mentioned. It wasn't all strikeouts. I do apologize. It was a ground out. Then you have Fam, Bart, and then Nick Gonzalez struck out. And what I'll say too is I think there's a little differences in some of the 0 for 3s. Nick Gonzalez tonight just wasn't seeing it well at all. I mean, Crochet had him baffled every time he was up there to bat. Nick Gonzalez did not have a good game today. But on the counterpoint, talk about Jack Swinsky. He didn't look that great against Crochet either. But when he left, the righty came in, Jack Swinsky, immediate base hit, stolen base right after. I kind of want to talk about Jack Swinsky a little bit more here. So you're opening up the opportunity for me to do it. I think Jack's had a pretty fine spring. Now we all know he's not going to hit lefties that well. So Garrett Crochet, pretty damn good. But like Jack's had a pretty solid season. What if we're talking about Swinsky and Bay probably coming down for like the last guy on this roster? And I'm leaning towards Jack Swinsky more and more and more. He also had a really good diving play in center field today, which Bay is super athletic. I don't think he has the fundamentals down, but I mean, he might have been able to make that play because of his speed, because of athleticism, but it wouldn't have been as crisp as I think Jack made it, look today. But like Jack has looked good this spring. And yes, I get it. It's spring. It is spring. But Jack has looked pretty damn good today.
998 OPS in spring. I mean, at this point, I'd rather see Swinsky over Bay. Like it just, we've seen Bay. I know we've seen Jack, do well and struggle. It just seems like when Bay's in the majors, he's just not providing too much. They both had pretty good springs, like you mentioned, but I think just the power that Swinsky can provide gives him the leg up. Like you severely need that power. If he's going to produce, you need it in this lineup. So my vote would be Swinsky over Bay, if that's what we're, coming down to and everything. Because he has looked good this spring, and I'm willing to give him another shot, one more shot, Donardo, with Swinsky to see what you have, because he's still young. It's not like he's completely
he's
cooked.
26.
Hopefully not cooked, but I'd rather see him at this point.
I'm with you. And like the thing about it is, it's not as if we're asking like we want to see him because he's starting. But the starting job's taken from him. It can be won back though. It absolutely can, because we know it's going to be Cruz and it's going to be Reynolds. If he can outproduce Tommy Pham, which I think we all know, like the ceiling of Jack Swinsky is absolutely that, or at least the very worst. Well, I guess the very worst is he's in AAA, but the second best is at least a really good platoon. Like Jack Swinsky, we know can handle himself in the outfield. especially at a corner. And again, I don't know. Maybe I'm buying a little bit into the Matt Haig stuff too, right? There's part of that, but like he was atrocious last year. Don't get me wrong, I understand that, but like I don't think anyone believes he's going to be as bad as he was last year, right? There's got to be some middle ground, and
Hopefully.
as weird and uneven the seasons were beforehand, like they were still productive. I mean, he was still close to almost. I mean, he was a +2 WAR player 2 years ago. I think 2.5 WAR it was.
I was gonna say not last year, but yeah, 2 years ago.
So like it's in it with him this spring. I just feel like he's hitting the ball well.
Yeah, he's seeing it well, and that's what I said. At this point, whether it's a platoon situation or just him coming off the bench as a pinch hit, late in the game, we need a home run or some kind of power. I'd rather see Jack in there. I mean, like Bucko Mike says it here. The Bay's atrocious in the field and on the bases, and that's what we've kind of seen from him in the majors. So, yeah, I'll take Jack at this point, which, coming in from this offseason, we did not want either way. But like the fact that we're having this conversation is absurd to me to begin with. But here we are, a less than a week from opening day, and this is these are our options. But now I think at this point with the spring he's had, he's seeing the ball well. You have to just give him another shot. And like you said, not a starting role, but give him another shot on this team to be an effective producer at the plate. And who knows, maybe there's an injury or maybe he plays himself back into a starting role.
Yeah. And it's funny because you mentioned with Bucko Mike, it's like what are the reasons you're going to have Bay on this team? Because he's fast and his speed, because his athleticism. I guess the center field part, like we always kind of, at least maybe me more than anyone, but still you kind of question like if Cruz is in center, who's going to play center? And I guess Bay kind of fills that, but it's like, that's why I bring these up. Like Jack stole a base today. Jack had a really good defensive play in center.
Jack's played center too.
It's like all the reasons that you're saying, like, hey, if you're in favor of Bay making the team, like Jack kind of do that too. And the thing about Bay is he has speed. He certainly does, but he hasn't really shown and proven that he knows how to use it. And things could change. Maybe this year he does. Maybe he's more, but like how Bucko Mike said, like, he doesn't run the bases well. He has speed, but doesn't utilize it. He's always getting thrown out, and it's like, Jack does have some speed. It's not like he's lead-footed. He had 13 stolen bases 2 years ago, 9 last year. He has 4 so far this spring. He can play some solid defense, and again, more in line with the corners, and that's a little bit of a takeaway. I mean, Bay can slide into center, but Jack, again, like shows tonight, like he can't handle it. It's not like your premier. It's not what you desire, right? Let's go and get Jack in center, but you're probably going to need someone in center field maybe 10 times this year as a backup. So if that's going to be Jack, so be it. But then again, like we know the power potential. I'm kind of buying into Jack Swinsky this year. The more I'm seeing him, I'm buying into it.
You're buying into Jack again.
Run home Jack. Enough where again, like he's on the roster. Let's see how you play into the season to take the starting gig. But I want Jack on this team.
You mentioned if somebody out there wants Bay on the team. Does anybody want Bay on the team? Like, I don't know of anybody that's like rooting for Bay. So, I
put it this way. I'm sure there are. Like, I'm not going to dismiss it as an absolute zero. But to Bay's credit, he has been playing well enough to be talked about in the conversation.
He has. He certainly has. They've both had a good spring. So, yeah. But, but it's like you said, besides a couple of those on the offense, there just was not any offense tonight. And like you said, we talked about a lot of 0-3s, 0 for 3s. Henry Davis, 0 for 3 strikeouts.
It kind of looked vintage Henry Davis. Pulling the ball, striking out, not catch. Like he just looked awful tonight. And again, it's Garrett Crochet. I get it, right? There's some excuse, but I feel like he started with a really hot spring and it's kind of cooled off a little bit. And he hasn't really done himself any favors of recent. And we know Jason DeLay's been sent down to AAA. There's going to be a battle. I mean, Joey Bart has it, and he's shown every reason tonight, of course, as well included, of why he's on this team and starting. So it's going to come down to who else is making the team. Is it going to be Endy or is it going to be Henry? And like these at bats matter. And yeah, not a good display of hitting tonight by Henry Davis.
No, I mean I think at this point it's Endy and Bart as your catching tandem, and Davis can start at AAA, and I'm sure he'll smoke AAA pitching, and we'll play this whole game again in, I don't know, May or whenever he gets a call up. We'll see if anything's different. But yeah, like you said, there's only 4 games I think in spring left, or is it 3 or 4?
Sorry.
So yeah, I mean these guys are going to get their last shot to kind of show something, and just wasn't a good performance from Davis tonight.
No.
And there's 3 games left. 3 games.
There it is.
Before they head south.
Right. To Miami. But at any rate, yeah. Like Jack is part of this. Henry, like these games still kind of matter because decisions need to be made. And again, that's what I'm alluding to. Like Jack looks good. Now Bay does too. That's gonna be a tough decision. But I think the decision for backup catcher is starting to be decided. I know in Starbucks I said I'm thinking Henry Davis right now, but it was hard for me at that point in time, and it's getting a lot easier for me to say it's Endy at this point. Jack just hasn't. I'm sorry, Jack. Henry just hasn't been looking all that good. Henry's been looking like he has the same issues he's had this entire time. So maybe going back to AAA to continue working on whatever Matt Haig has in front of him. Right, here's what you got to do, Henry. Maybe going back to AAA to work on that still is what's best for Henry Davis.
Yeah, and Endy's looked good. I mean, it's not like he's getting it by default. Like he's looked pretty good this spring and coming off his injury and everything. So we'll see. But I think it's those 2. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
You want to talk some David Bednar?
Yeah.
Some Denny Santana.
Do we have a closer yet?
I mean, I don't know. Is Shelton answered it? I mean, I'm assuming it's Bednar, but we don't have a Chapman lying in the wings. So this season,
do you think at this point in time? And I say this because it also could just be lip service, right? We don't have a closer because I'm wanting to push David Bednar to earn it. Do you think Shelton in his mind right now like knows that there is a closer and who it is, or do you think he's still kind of debating?
No, I think they're giving it to Bednar. No, I would
you
love
think Bednar's done enough to reclaim it.
Well, I don't know if he's done enough this spring, but I don't really. I just don't see with Chapman no longer on the roster. I don't see them really going out of their way to hand it to Santana or Holderman, or it's just going to kind of be by default, unless Bednar was just horrific this spring or got injured or something. I think it was always going to be his job again. And he had a scoreless inning tonight, 1 strikeout. I thought Wong hit a home run on that one that was like to center that came, was caught right at the warning track on the wall. Yeah, it kept it in barely. So I thought that was gone for a second. I was like, here we go with Bednar. But he hasn't been, he's gotten his spring. Last year he didn't have that spring where he got going and then was just awful and just up and down and inconsistent all season. So I think they were always giving it to him. We've talked about this in other years. I would love for them to go into a season and say, we're just going to play the matchups. We don't have a guy. Like, it's not hey, it's the 9th inning, we have to go with our closer. I would just wish they would hey, this day we're going to go with Santana. He has some good numbers against the middle of this lineup. Or next day, hey, we'll go with Holderman. We'll go with Bednar. So I'd be fine with that because you're kind of it's more of you're more unpredictable going into some of these late games. But I just don't think Shelton's going to do that, and the Pirates are going to do that, and they'll give it to Bednar, and we'll see probably pretty early on if what we're going to come to expect from Bednar this season. But hopefully it's better. Yeah, I mean, they're throwing out Nicholas too in the chat. Like I think there are other options, but I think they're just going to go back to Bednar.
Yeah, the bullpen in its entirety is interesting to talk about who's going to make the team because you can go so many different ways. Is it strictly talent? Do you want to add some people because of depth and such? When it comes to the closer situation, I'm with you. David Bednar did look pretty good today. So like you mentioned, he had to fly out to Wong. Abreu grounds out the second, then he has the strikeout as well to Christian Campbell. So we've seen I feel like every display of David Bednar this spring so far. You saw good David Bednar. You saw
the good, bad, and the ugly.
it was shaky, but he looked good, And then you saw the really, really bad of David Bednar. So you've seen everything so far, and that's kind of problematic. Like you don't want to see bad David Bednar, but again, like it's also spring. Some of the bad was also there because of bad defense. Not every time he was out there looking bad, but the one game was really, really bad. The other one, some bad defense behind him as well. But I think you're rolling in with David Bednar still. He's been your guy. He's really the only guy on this team that has done it before. Like you mentioned with the Chapman thing, the Chapman gave him some backup, right? Like, hey, if this is a workout, Chapman's in here.
Right.
You could do things with Chapman. Maybe their whole closure by committee thing like a year ago could have worked. But this year, I think it's a little bit more difficult because no one's like really, really ever done it except for Bednar. I also kind of disagree. The more and more I talk to different people and his mindset, like I kind of agree that guys kind of need to know their role. I'm not a big believer in like the closer in the ninth inning. Like sometimes you can bring him in the eighth or whatever, but to know like you're the guy, I think helps. Like to everyone know their role and how to prepare is one thing. But I'm leaning towards David Bednar as well. Like I think I've seen enough out of him right now that yes, there has certainly been some bad of David Bednar, but it hasn't been all bad. You see some good stuff. It's also spring. He's looked healthy. He's looked good. I think I'm rolling with David Bednar. But also, like the only other options really is Holderman and maybe Dennis Santana. Now, here's the thing, though, too. Dennis Santana's looked really, really good. Really, really good, by the way. And to talk about him a little bit tonight. I mean, like he's Mr. Efficiency. You want to talk about dope, the Department of Pitcher Efficiency. I mean, Dennis Santana is leading the way on that, I feel. Like, once again, just a quick, efficient appearance. He's out of there, done, over with, looked good.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, that's Santana had another good outing tonight, but that's the thing. Like there are other options back there, but like, let me say this: like as far as the whole knowing your role and everything, like I think if you had Holderman, Santana, and Bednar, and you knew that you three are going to be the back end of our bullpen, which is probably what's going to be. What's it matter if you're pitching in the seventh or the eighth, or maybe the ninth? It is a little different, obviously, but I wish they would go whatever, kind of play the matchups. But if we had signed Chapman 2 years ago to a 2-year deal and we're going into this offseason with him on the team, I think he's the closer coming out of spring. If all healthy and everything equal, I think he would be your closer. But the fact that because he took over essentially for Bednar last year, now it was it was later than what they should have probably went to him. But he did it and he was the guy and Chapman was really good last year. So him not being here, I just don't see them making that move to go Santana or Holderman until if Bednar struggles again. I think there'll be a shorter hook on Bednar this year. That if he comes out in April and he's just really struggling again, just like we saw last year, then they're probably going to make that move. But it was weird because Bednar, what we saw last year, like the stuff was still pretty good. It was having a problem locating a lot of it. So it wasn't like he was like, it's hard to pinpoint what the problem was with him. And
it wasn't so much diminishing skills.
Right. And what we've seen this spring, like he's been fine. He hasn't really been dominant, but he hasn't been awful either. So it's just one of those, it's relievers, and we're kind of hopefully just chalking it up to they're volatile and let's hope for the bounce back. And I think that's what Shelton and the Pirates are gonna bank on here too. So, but like I said, if he struggles, I'm all for Santana, as Doug says here, Santana for the closer. I'm all for it, but I think they're gonna roll with Bednar because he's been the guy, and Shelton's gonna play that card.
Interesting. It's going to be interesting. There's certainly a lot of decisions that will be coming up. Some are getting narrowed down, but for sure, the catcher situation, who's going to be the number 2? That's interesting.
Yep.
That's kind of difficult, but I think Andy's leading it, like you mentioned. Like guy number 26, the last guy on the bench for the Pirates. Who's that going to be? I think it's leaning towards Jack Swinsky in my heart, but there's certainly some options there as well. And then also the bullpen in its entirety. Pitching, though, up and down, pretty much looked solid today. Ferguson didn't look as sharp. He came out with the walk right away. Then he got a big double play and a strikeout, or strikeout, then double play, I should say. But again, yeah, pitching looked pretty good today. And again, it's the Red Sox. I know it's spring training, but it's the Red Sox getting closer to spring training. I'm sorry, the regular season. And the pitching, yeah, like I said, up and down, the pitching looked good. Offense didn't look good. Had guys on, weren't able to score until the 9th inning when all the nameless jerseys were in there playing.
Jack Brannigan. Yeah, I love that. Who was that? Oh God, he had the hit in the 9th inning. Oh, was it Jarvis? He's just wearing. Jarvis. Yeah, he's got a number 80 jersey with no name on the back. Like, what are we doing here? I love that.
Yep. Jarvis.
That's when
Jarvis got a hit, gets on. Brannigan lined out. Then Omar Alfonso ground out, and then Will Taylor at the RBI to make it 2-1. Which got you thinking maybe it will be a tie game again, and no.
Give away another half sandwich.
Lose 2-1. So yeah, I mean that's the game in a nutshell. It's spring. I don't think everyone cares so much about the game in itself. Let's talk about the players a little bit today. But yeah, it's our last post game. The next time you hear us is on Starbucks Monday morning, and then we'll have our North Shore 9 Live and NS9 Live Wednesday, right before opening day. We'll have our over and unders.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, less than a week from opening day.
We are, and I think we'll be debuting another brand new show. Well, we'll keep a little bit of a secret right now, but some fun stuff coming.
I don't even know what you're talking about. So that I'm like, really?
That's how tight knit it is, buddy.
I'm like, what? Oh, okay. I have an idea, but I don't know if that's where you're going. But all right.
You probably do. But anyways,
yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it. No sandwiches. Pirates lose. The next time we have a post-game show, though, it will be real. And once again, if you don't know, this year for our post-game shows, how many sandwiches are we giving away, Ryan?
We are doubling it. We're giving away 4 sandwiches.
4 sandwiches. 2 winners every time the Bucks win. We're giving 4 sandwiches away. 2 winners will have 2 sandwiches. So make sure, especially when the Pirates win, that you guys join us on the NS9 post-game show. Hashtag raise it in the comments. We'll be giving away 4 sandwiches this year. I'm excited.
Hopefully. So if the Pirates win 100 games, that would be 400 sandwiches we give out. 400
at minimum, because then there's playoffs, buddy.
Plus probably some free sandwiches for our live tailgate that I think is coming up sometime.
That's right.
The announcement. So stay tuned for that too.
Probably in May, everybody.
Look at this.
May.
NS9's own Doug is going to be at opening day too. So if you're at opening day in Miami, I'm going to be jealous, but have a good time and go tweet Doug and give him a shout out. That's right. Well, Ryan, anything else you have to say tonight or about this game? No, like I said, I'm over spring, Donardo. I can't. These spring games they're just dragging on. I feel like they've played 40 of them. Like let's move it. Let's move it along to opening day. I am ready. Are you going all Roger Goodell and 3 games? I know. We limiting the 3 games in spring. Yeah, NFL got rid of a game. Can we get rid of like a week and a half of spring training? Let's go. So sounds good. All right, then let's get out of here. As always, we do appreciate you. If you haven't yet, go ahead, hit subscribe, hit like, become a member if you want. It's just 99 cents. And again, we'll get all those cool emojis for the season. And if you're not also, become a Patreon member. We appreciate all your support. Let's get out of here, Ryan. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Peace.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in, whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube. If you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.